What's something that is romantic in movies, but creepy in real life? Basically everything you see in rom-com/romance relationships. Not taking no for an answer. Turning up unexpectedly. Threatening to hurt yourself if they don't date you. Using big public displays of affection to show you're worthy of love. Just public humiliation for the crush. The list is very long. Someone coming home and finding their entire apartment full of flowers when the sender obviously had no legal way to get in. Having scream fighting matches with your partner constantly because you're both so passionate, like in the "Nah bro, you're just incompatible. That's peep ain't cute." Those elaborate plots that trick the other person into falling for you. How do you even trick a person to fall for you if they are not into you? That's never going to work. Yet in movies it always does. And the trick part implies it's lying to or forcing the other person. How is that in any way a healthy base for a relationship of any kind? Casually stalking who they are pursuing. Especially if they are a police officer or FBI agent and they just casually look up their interest in the database. This is an actual thing that happens at the NSA approximately 8 times per year. The NSA calls it love-int and anyone engaging in it is promptly fired. Stopping someone's wedding and asking them to be with you. Really? You couldn't shoot your shot before the wedding? It's not a surprise event. You're really going to embarrass everyone involved and destroy their wedding day when you could have just showed up last Wednesday? Or ditching your wedding at the last minute for some woman you only met once. Looking at you. Serendipity. Every male in the entire village always hitting on the one single blue female. Their trains always ran on her schedule, though. Breaking into your crush's house and laying on their bed. Movies. He misses her, that's sweet. Real life. You going to jail. Yeah. Or breaking into your crush's house in the middle of the night and staring at her while she sleeps. Bonus creeper points if you're also a sparkly vampire. An overdramatic proposal in front of a bunch of strangers. There was a scene in Love, Simon where one of Simon's best friends is subject to a public proposal in front of the entire school, and she then has to suffer the horror of publicly turning him down because she doesn't like him in that way. I sunk down in my chair in the cinema and had to look away. Super cringe. But at least they actually showed how that would play out realistically. I had a guy ask me out in front of a third of the school before one of the 3 lunch blocks. With a huge sign that took multiple people to hold. I cried, which he mistook as happy tears, and assumed we were dating now. I had to super awkwardly let him down once we were alone. I can totally relate. In 6th grade, one boy enlisted the whole class to ask me to be his girlfriend, which I said no, because I was more scared of my mom, who had made it clear, no dating before 16, than I was of being ostracized. They tried for 2 weeks, and by the end, realized how strict my mom was, and I was never asked out again all through my school years. And what are you going to do? Stopping weddings. I attended a wedding in a city hall. The mayor said he's never heard someone say no, but he has already seen people who tried to stop weddings. She got ejected quickly, but it never affected the ceremony. Relentlessly pursuing an ex who clearly doesn't want you back. Sorry dude, leaving wine and roses in your ex-girlfriend's car while she's at work isn't cute. It's super creepy and stalkerish. When couples are fake dating and trying to convince their family, then the family forces them to kiss in front of everyone to prove their love. No family would ever do this in real life. It's weird. Like, please, make out in front of Nana and your Uncle Ken. Chasing someone who already said no multiple times. If someone is already in a relationship trying to break them up. Love at first sight. No, that's just lust and desire. Literally everything in the 50 Shades movies. Accurate every misconception possible about BDSM, but dressed up for horny middle-aged housewives. If 50 Shades was set on a trailer park, it would be an episode of Criminal Minds. 50 Shades is to BDSM as Game of Thrones is to wedding planning. Extremely old vampires dating 16-year-olds. What We Do in the Shadows, the movie, has a great spin on this one. He's dating a much younger woman. She's in her 80s. Not taking no for an answer. Yes. I love the movie still. But the scene in The Notebook, when Noah literally just dangles from the top of the Ferris wheel and essentially threatens suicide if someone who he's only met a couple times who has a boyfriend won't agree to go out with him, is pure insanity. If you don't have a gun to your head, and a gun to your crush's head, then it's not real love. Words to live by. Or die by. Hanging off a Ferris wheel. Threatening suicide for a date. Therapists dating or having sex with their patients. Oh, but they have such a deep connection. No, that's a malpractice lawsuit in the making. All I can think of is Lucifer, but this isn't the only creepy thing in that show. Robin dating her therapist in How I Met Your Mother. Bumping into the same person over and over again. Okay, this is starting to get weird. First you show up at my house, and now you're showing up at my work. This has to stop. But we are roommates, and you're my boss. I don't want to hear it. This has to stop. It's almost a better question to ask what isn't creepy. Nothing. The answer is nothing. Stealing their baby brother and taking them to the castle at the center of the labyrinth to eventually turn them into a goblin. Sending an ogre and a donkey to rescue them from a castle so you can force them to marry you so you can become a king to make up for your small stature. Showing up everywhere. Stalking. Keep pursuing someone after no. Watching people sleep looking at you Twilight. In The Notebook, Ryan Gosling's character literally builds a house for his ex-girlfriend a decade after they split, who is now married to somebody else. Imagine if that was real life. Imagine your teenage boyfriend out of the blue just built a house and expected you to move in with him. Creepy as peep. Not taking no for an answer. When they fight too much and always shut each other up with a kiss. Noah and Ali had nothing in common. Still that seemed romantic somehow. The Notebook. Obsessive and unrequited love, sometimes spanning years, that ultimately succeeds because the less interested party gets worn down and realizes they are a big dummy and they loved them after all. I'm seeing a lot of this worked out for me. I'm sure it did. Not everyone meets and falls in love on the same schedule, and sometimes it's all in the timing. I'm happy so many of you all found an amazing person to spend your lives with. Maybe you're the exceptions and not the rule. Maybe I'm bitter no one's obsessed with me, just kidding, just kidding. That being said, I think being deluded and obsessed with someone where you've built them up in your head and have an idealized version of who they are is unhealthy. You don't want to be Harold from The Stand lol. It's super weird, but apparently it does happen. My girlfriend was in a wedding for two people like this. The guy was obsessed with the girl in high school, but she never gave him the time of day. They stayed friends in college. She started developing feelings for him that sort of cascaded into her obsessing over him, but he had been friend-zoned so long that he didn't notice any of the hints. Now they are married and still completely obsessed with each other. Pitch it to the major networks. Serenading them at their doorstep. LMAO. What about using posters to declare your love for your best mate's wife? I mean, Christmas is a time to tell the truth. Pursuing someone who is already in a relationship. Hitting on a client or customer. In movies, the employee who does that is often charming and good looking, and it is reciprocated. In real life, it is a fast way to get fired. Romantically throwing rocks at someone's window to get their attention. Bruh, you better be ready to pay for insurance. Breaking through airport security to profess your love. Have fun getting tased and sent to prison, jackass. Maybe more disgusting than creepy, but having spontaneous sex than just putting their clothes back on and going about their day without even cleaning themselves up. Oh boy. I worked with a waitress whose boyfriend would cream pie her before work like 3 days a week. How do I know, you ask? Because she would brag about it to staff and customers. And how much she loved walking around in soggy panties because it made her think of him. How the f*** did she bring that up to customers? Like, how do you seg into that? Here's your coffee. Can I get some cream with that, please? You sure can. On that topic, my boyfriend. What? It came up organically. You know what else came up organically? The woman saying no, 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 no. You be going to jail, my friend. You're talking about hentai, aren't you? Okay, this guy knows something. Turning up at your door with flowers. I once had a chap do this to me. I'd cancelled the first date as I got a creepy vibe from him. He stalked me online, found my address, drove 3 hours, and turned up with a dozen red roses. Luckily I got a family member to answer the door and say I wasn't there, as he texted me half an hour before to ask whether I was home. I later let him know that this was not okay. Pick you up a date. More specifically, they meet for the first time, have a connection. He suggests dinner. She's charmed. Then he says pick you up a date, and then they part ways. No phone number, no address. Sometimes no agreement. But sure, it's a date and they're at the restaurant next scene, so why not? Serenading someone in general without breaking eye contact. Yeah, the editing makes it look good and all. But in reality it's more of a mix of creepy, awkward, and altogether wishing the moment was over. Hugh Grant. Forced kisses to shut up. My guy, she's being emotional and trying to work through her feelings and all you do is claim her lips. No. I learned this the hard way. Got a slap for it. It was the day I absolutely stopped using movies to judge a relationship. When people talk like really close to each other's faces, like 2 inches apart. And their breath probably stinks. Trying to get your mum and dad to fall in love at the enchantment under the sea dance, but your mother ends up with the hots for you, all while trying to generate 1.21 gigawatts while driving at 88 miles per hour. Movies that perpetrate adultery because suddenly the characters met again and apparently they didn't stop loving each after so many years, despite having separate families of their own. I'd say don't go commit, especially get married, with someone if you're not yet fully healed from your previous relationship.